E la cintura?
Non ce l'ho.
È un grosso rischio. Ricordati sempre di allacciare la cintura di sicurezza e falla allacciare anche a chi sta dietro. Guidare non è uno scherzo. Va bene?
Father Julian Carron in Rimini. He says the meeting is a verification of faith. Mariangela and Riccardo's certainty is reflected through Julia's gaze. The Franciscan custodian of the Holy Land invites us to follow Christ's witness in Capharnaum with the apostles. John Elkin and Sergio Marchionne, a lively meeting with young people. All together learning Irish step dancing through the night.
A history of friendship, of talks and faces you can't forget. This is the meeting that Father Carron, president of the Fraternity of Communion and Liberation, visited this morning. To those that ask him how he feels, he answers magnificently, because it is how one should live. I walked through the exhibit on the 150 years of subsidiarity, accompanied by the students who created it, and then another visit to the exhibit on Capernaum with its coordinators. He talks in English to those volunteers who explain the exhibit on the Blessed John Henry Newman. He even finds time for a little break at the Spanish Taberna and for a stroll in the library where some friends give him a photo album about his city.
My house was here. Here there was the Royal Palace, the cathedral, and then my house at the 8th floor.
I discovered a joyful people, more and more interested in true and essential things in order to play the game of life more intensely. This is happening in a moment like the one we are living in now, where many people live in confusion, and the fact that this race of people exists gives hope to everyone, to those of us watching it and the rest of the world.
There are hundreds of volunteers working here. Can the meeting help them in their journey to faith?
Certainly. We were just speaking at lunch about how one of the most beautiful things about the meeting is how the volunteers participate not only in doing the things they're asked to do, but also in helping us understand part of the content of the meeting. The president of the meeting, Emilia, said this is something new. I think this is fundamental because I spoke last year about how this is a difference between a vacation and the meeting. The meeting is a part of the journey to faith like vacation, but slightly different. For example, like how we responded to the elections as part of a verification of our faith. The meeting is also part of this verification. Everything for us is connected to the same origin, which is faith.
Giulia's story is a great witness to love, confidence and dependence. When doctors diagnosed her with a serious illness and suggested abortion, what pushed you to go on? First of all, the certainty that Giulia was a gift for me and for our family. It was a grace, something that we would have never chosen, which, over time, became the chance for personal maturity as a mother and as a woman. Giulia is now 8. Is it true that she knows 3 languages? Yes, because we speak Italian at home. She has a Spanish babysitter who has been speaking Spanish with her for 4 years, and so she understands it too. Yes, because we speak Italian at home. She has a Spanish babysitter who has been speaking Spanish with her for 4 years, and so she understands it. Eventually, she even understands French, because it's the official language used during therapies and spoken by some volunteers. Giulia is a constant witness. You define her as a little white wafer. What does it mean?
In this expression, we see the sense of the fragility of her life. But at the same time, it is a strength because of what it means for others. It's in her very own fragility and weakness that this strength lies. It's in here that her belonging to the mystery appears. We have the impression of holding up our child because she always needs us for everything. But sometimes it seems that it's her that is carrying us.
In your life, joy overcame sorrow. Do you feel that God is embracing you?
Yes, we feel embraced, and this is the result of a series of concrete events that occurred in our life.
Can you give a big kiss to Julia from the meeting?
Yes, for sure.
And she also gives you kisses.
During my time in the Holy Land, I was urged to become more certain about Christ.
Father Pizzaballa talks about his life in front of a packed auditorium during a talk that represented the exhibit dedicated to the Holy Land and that saw the participation of José Miguel García, the organizer of the exhibit, and was introduced by Giancarlo Cesana. Father Pizzaballa talked about his 20 years' experience in the places where Christ lived. He explained how he met people and not only ideas, and how he deepened his relationship with the present and real God through relationships with others.
The Holy Land meant the rediscovery of my vocation and also of my relationship with Christ. Visiting these places, you are put in front of such concrete evidence about the life of Jesus that is so real that there is no place where you can experience the same thing. Also, meeting people with a faith that is totally different helps you to verify and reflect on your life experience in a way you didn't before.
The custodian of the Holy Land concluded that the prayer, the places, and the people represent the factors that for over 20 years have made him deepen his relationship with God and gave him the possibility of looking at all of reality through new eyes, like the ones of the apostles.
John Elkann, president of Fiat, arrives at the meeting in Rimini impelled by what had fascinated Sergio Marchionne last year. He visited the pavilions of the meeting. Seeing so many young people with so much enthusiasm is great, said John Elkann to the journalist that asked him about the economic crisis. And to the question about the strike, he answered that we should not divide ourselves. Passion, engagement, and desire to learn. According to him, these are the points from which Italy can restart. He explained his thoughts yesterday evening during a meeting with the university students, and he has confirmed it today in his talk with the president of the Compagnia delle Opere, Bernard Schultz. At the Rimini meeting, there are positive forces for Italy, and we should make use of this optimism. As far as the crisis is concerned, he said, in history, there have always been difficult moments, but here we can see the desire to always restart. And if there is this desire for the future, we can build a better society.
What do you think about the intervention of John Elkann?
Excellent.
Elkann said that he decided to come to the Rimini meeting since you said you were very happy about it last year. What did you tell him?
What did I tell him? An important thing is the energy of this place. This is the only place where I came back twice this year. To me, the formal aspect is not so important. I'm interested in the atmosphere, in the quality of the people here. They're authentic people. Let's forget ideological issues. Here you can find a simplicity among the people in front of their work, and this is very important to me. This is a beautiful place to come to. Monsignor Luigi Negri, Bishop of San Marino, collected his memoirs in the book Faith and Culture Selected Works, presented this afternoon by the author. There was also Camillo Fornacieri, director of the Cultural Center of Milan, Stefano Zamani, president of the Agency for the Third World, and the headmaster of the Pontifical John Paul II Institute, Livio Melina. 25 Egyptian volunteers take care every day of the cleaning of the fair. Most of them speak English, none understand Italian. They have paid to come to Rimini because they were struck by the Cairo meeting. There was a lot of attention to the debate about nuclear and renewable energy. There were so many people at the talk after Fukushima Only Renewable Energies, presented by Marco Bersinelli, that a lot of them were forced to follow it on a video feed elsewhere. Art and tourism at the Sicilian stand are represented by the three heads of Pantelleria, symbolizing the imperial age that represent Tito, Antonia Minore, and Cesare. The archaeological remains of the statues are on display as they symbolize Sicily's artistic heritage.
Qui invece sono a Rimini, a un festival di cartoni. Bellissimo!
With the aim of helping the growth of new cinematic culture, the Rimini Film Festival is back with its 4th edition. In the jury, there are famous names such as Pupi Avati, Alessandro Dalatri, and the Polish director Krzysztof Zanussi as the head juror, who stressed the fact that this festival is completely countercultural.
This festival is not in line with the mainstream cinematic world. It talks about unalienable values. All the movies we have watched, although they're not many, have the same inclination.
A festival that looks at young movie directors with great care, offering them a major opportunity.
The world of cinema is very closed, even unfriendly. It doesn't welcome young people. I think that any way to make them understand what are the conditions to survive in this career is worth it, and so I do it.
The Polish movie director says about the meeting.
We have to be careful when talking about certainty, but there are certainties. It is not true that everything is relative, inconsistent, indefinable. There are certainties. Good and evil do exist. For me, even this is certain.
Young people and adults, they are astonished and they try to remember the little English they once knew in order to follow the directions of the brothers Pilaske and Clara Butler. The extraordinary Irish dancers prance around, they laugh and toast to the people of the meeting. It is easy to find the rhythm, and even if the steps are not right, what is important is to have fun.
To sell tickets for the Rimini Meeting Lottery. That is their mission. A mission impossible? They don't think so.
What's your name? Let's go! In order to reach their goal, they do all they can.
They stole our shoes and they won't give them back till we sell all the tickets. It's for the meeting. Did you know how much they spend for the air conditioning here? Can you please buy from me a ticket?
I have no more money to even buy food.
What's the first prize of the lottery?
The first prize is a Fiat 500.
What's your name? Cristiana.
Where do you come from?
Taranto.
How many tickets have you sold?
130.
Then there are scooters, vacation packages, weekend trips, food fryers, and even an ice cream maker.
How do you convince them?
On my knees.
Did you sell any tickets to any important people?
Yes. Yesterday we sold a ticket to Davide Rondoni.
And to any VIPs?
Yes, but I can't remember who he was.
They stop everybody, really everybody.
The prices are wonderful.
We don't need a scooter.
5 euros.
€5? Whoever sold them.
The title of the meeting you're participating in is focused on the problem of the sustainability of welfare, particularly public welfare. So, in your opinion, what is the core of the problem?
Well, I think the core of the problem is that the public sector has overspent its resources and doesn't seem likely to overcome that problem in the near term. And therefore, we have to find an alternative. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is what I think is one possible alternative.
Okay, and do you think the governments of the US and Europe are facing the problem in the right way?
Absolutely not. I think that in both sides of the Atlantic, we have people in control of our governments that have what to me is a wrong economic model in mind. No doubt we have to address the debt problem over the long run, but in the short term we're facing a deficit of demand for goods and services. And the only entity in this kind of economic situation that has the ability to overcome a deficit of demand is the government. And therefore, we should not be cutting the government spending in the short run. We should rather be increasing it so as to get out of this cycle of economic decline.
And do you think it's possible to design an effective and just strategy within the limits of public expenditure?
No, I don't think our solution is within the limits of public expenditure. I think we have reached the limits of public expenditure and that we need to find an alternative route to financing welfare. And I think there is such a route, but we need to conceptualize it, visualize it, and encourage and incentivize it.
And in this scenario, what can private institutions and especially the principle of subsidiarity contribute?
Well, I think that there is something very important that is already happening on what I call the frontiers of philanthropy. The frontiers of philanthropy are alive with action. There has been an explosion of action on the frontiers of philanthropy. And I think if we keep focused on the old line institutions and actors in the universe of philanthropy, we are going to miss some very exciting things that are happening on these frontiers. And the centerpiece of what's happening is the mobilization of private investment capital for social purposes. Private investment capital for social purposes. This is a relatively new development. It's not fully formed. It's still very much up in the air whether it will achieve its promise. But I think it is really an exciting development that we need to focus on much more than we have. And my talk tonight is going to describe work that I have been doing to produce a book on what is called the New Frontiers of Philanthropy.
E la cintura?
Non ce l'ho.
È un grosso rischio. Ricordati sempre di allacciare la cintura di sicurezza e falla allacciare anche a chi sta dietro. Guidare non è uno scherzo. Va bene?